Good morning, everybody. For those who are joining online from all over the continent, welcome to this webinar. As you know, tomorrow is Pangolins Day, World Pangolins Day, where we look at the effect and how we can save the pangolin. That is what we'll be discussing here for the next 1 hour or so. My name is Lucy Wanjiko, and I'll be your moderator for this session. Just to run you through the program, we have a packed program. We will start with welcoming remarks, which will be done by Edith Kabensime, our campaigns manager. Then we will also have the next session is how to fall in love with a pangolin presentation. This will be a presentation by Rebecca, co-founder and director, Biodiversity Alliance. Then the next presentation will be from Edith Kabensime. She'll be looking at the brutal reality of pangolin trade and why we should end it. Edith Kabensime, our wildlife campaign manager, will be taking us through that for about 30 minutes. And for all of us, we'll have a Q&A session. So for our online audience, please do type the questions on the Q&A on your timeline, on the Zoom timeline. We'll be able to take all these questions at this point of Q&A. For those who are here and with us here, please also do utilize a notebook, type your question. You have a time to really ask those questions and also delve deeper into the presentations by Edith and Rebecca. Then finally, we'll have a vote of thanks. And for the people in the room, we'll have a photo session. I don't know how to deal with the people online. Maybe you can also take a photo and send it to us. We will appreciate just having you with us through this session. So this being our first webinar this year, I take this opportunity to welcome each one of us to this work that we do here. We count you as one of the champions, one of the many, many champions we have in Africa, to really look at how we can save our pangolins, how we can save wildlife. Because at World Animal Protection, we talk and say that animals belong to the wild, and that's where they should be. So count yourself as one of us, walk with us the journey. Just for our social media pages, which you should follow, if you're online, you can tweet us at Move the World AF. Twitter handle is at Move the World AF. So for our social media influencers who are online, who are here, that is the handle that you will use. Our website for the Africa team is worldanimalprotection.org. www.pangolins.or.ke. Please make sure that you go there and become a member where you can be receiving online newsletters every now and then, because we want to engage you this year as our supporter. Our aim is that you'll be able to go and recreate the campaigns we talk about here. We'll be supporting people movement, where you go out, do work, do your own campaign, generate your own campaign, especially those in the media, and come back and tell us we can be able to support you. And you can also write an email to Lucy Wanjiko at World Animal Protection. You'll also have Evans Kipkoril's number, who is our media officer, to be displayed at the end of and during the session. So for the media guys, you can write to Evans and you'll be able to get a lot more information. Should you want any media work, should you want any session to do with our wildlife campaigns person, you'll be able to get that. And for the social media influencers, Ian is there. Ian Moreu at World Animal Protection. He is there. He'll be able to answer all your questions. Our hashtag today, Ian, you can tell me what's the hashtag we are using? Yeah, Save the Pangolin. So for all of us, let's make sure that we trend with Save the Pangolin. And the Twitter handle again is at World Animal Protection. The Twitter handle, I'll take that again. The Twitter handle is at Move the World AF, and the hashtag is Save the Pangolin. So as we delve further, let's use those hashtags. Let's make sure that we trend. Save the Pangolin. Yes, at this juncture, I'll invite Edith Kabensime. Edith Kabensime, please come and make the welcoming remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good. That is very impressive. Thank you so much, Lucy, and thank you everyone for coming. Once again, seeing familiar faces uplifts my spirits, especially on a day like this and in a month like this, where we are celebrating love. And today we'll be talking about the pangolin. Just as a reminder, before I do my remarks, Lucy mentioned our hashtags, our website, our social media. I request that we get off Zoom. If anyone in this room is on Zoom, please get off so that we are able to not have that echo. Thank you so much. So if you pick this leaflet on your desks, at the bottom of it, you will see all those details. The big one pager, you'll see those details, our social media platforms and how to get involved. Thank you. So just a few remarks. I bring greetings from World Animal Protection. I know some of the faces are familiar, but of course I'm also seeing new faces. I think it's in order that we don't take it for granted that you know us. We are an animal welfare organization. We are global, we are international. We have presence in Africa. We are based in Nairobi. And of course our team, Lucy, Ian, Evans, they come from the Nairobi office, but globally we work in we are based in around 14 countries globally, but then we work in all the 5 continents of the world. So we have that global presence, and our vision is really a world where animals are free from suffering and cruel treatment. And our mission is to really work with you, move the world, protect these animals, both the wild, but also all the other sorts of animals we can think of. So that is us. And moving the world means we work with all of you. We work with all categories of people, government, local communities, private sector, media, young people, so that we really protect these animals because they are part of us. We belong, we occupy the same planet. and we play all sorts of roles to support each other as creatures that were created for that. So that is us. So from Nairobi, we bring you greetings. From Uganda, where I sit as the campaigns manager for Africa, in charge of wildlife, I bring you greetings. That's it. Today, certainly why we are here, we are celebrating the pangolin, but also to raise the consciousness that it's one of the animals that we need to protect, because I think it's the new elephant. We have talked about the rhino, we have talked about the leopards, we have talked about elephants being killed for their ivory, but the pangolin currently is actually the elephant. And that is the reason we are here, that we need to talk about it and raise that consciousness. World Pangolin Day is a day that was conceived in 2012. It's not a very old initiative by various organizations. And since that time, for us who are in conservation, in animal welfare space, we believe it's a day where we need to raise this consciousness. The pangolin is protected globally, and at international level, there are laws, there are regulations that do that. But as individuals, we need to sit here and really convene and talk about it. So in this room, I'm with my colleague and friend, longtime friend. She will introduce herself, but I can say Rebecca, and we are in this battle together. And today we will be talking about the pangolin. Feel free, ask us all the questions you can. We are here for you. So at this juncture, I don't want to take so much time. I have just given you a brief of World Animal Protection, who we are, what we do, where we are located, and why we are here. It's about the pangolin. And at this moment, before I make my own presentation, I will ask my friend Rebecca to set the scene, sort of give us the keynote presentation, which will put us in the mood of falling in love. Because this February, it's a month of love. Rebecca, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Edith. Good. Wait. Mwazuze Mutia. Kale. So, good morning. My name is Rebecca. In my country, you say buenos dias, because I am from Spain. So, buenos dias, Mwazuze Mutia. I'm honored to be here. Like Edith says, she's a longtime friend, and this is a continued battle. I have called this presentation How to Fall in Love with a Pangolin. We are in the month of Valentine's, which, by the way, was my birthday on Valentine's Day. So thank you. And so we call it the month of love, right? Now, when we think about love, we think about romance love, right? A man and a woman, your partner. But there are many ways to love. There's the love you share with your friends, the love you share with your children, the love you share with your other family members, and then there's the romantic love, okay? So keep that in mind, yes? This is a presentation, but I do want your participation, okay? You are my classroom, and I am your teacher, I hope, a good teacher, okay? So I would love for you guys to participate. If you can, not look at your phones or listen to me and participate if you know the answers, okay? Dio? I can't hear you. Okay, so how to fall in love with a pangolin. Next slide, please. So can you tell me, why are they disappearing? Anyone? Maybe just one answer. Does anybody know why they are disappearing?
I think trafficking is one.
Trafficking. Why are they being trafficked though? You know why and where? Yes, and what part do they use for the medicinal purposes? The scales, right? That's true. So most of the illegal wildlife trafficking, illegal trafficking of these animals, means that they're going from one country like Uganda and they're going through other countries until they reach their destination countries where they consume these traditional medicine products, which is what countries, do you know? Participation? I think I'm gonna have to give rewards here. Oh, now there is a lot of participation, Ben.
Asian countries like China.
China, yeah. Yes, China is one of the demand countries. There you go, Ben. Other countries are Vietnam and other countries in Asia, mostly China and Vietnam, I must say. In Vietnam, there's a lot of Chinese communities, so we believe that's where they use them. And they do go through different routes through Asia, through Singapore, Malaysia, but many of those scales are coming from where? In general, all of you at the same time, from Africa, because the Asian pangolins actually have reduced so much that now they are attacking the African pangolins, okay? So one reason is the scales, and it's because of the traditional Chinese medicine, and they go to Asia. Now, what else are they consumed for? Does anybody know? Other than the scales. Yes, the meat. You get a hat. I'll give it to you later. So yes, the meat. The meat in China is considered a luxury, okay? So the same as the shark fin, for example, they eat and they consume the meat of a pangolin when they're going to close a business deal or to kind of show off the luxury that is behind that, okay? So that's the sad truth. Next slide. Here, I'm just showing you some photos, a bit sad. You can see on the bottom left some of the scales and the skins. Either you'll get scales or you'll get skins. And here on the top is a soup, a pangolin soup. That actually is a baby pangolin. And somehow they can eat that. I don't understand how, but yes, they eat it. Those are a little bit of the figures, what a pangolin is worth. But that's very important because to a high-level trader, 1 kilo is about, because the market changes, $265. Now that's very bad news if you like money, okay? But to the African poacher, maybe it gets to $22.5, $20, okay? And the people who are being caught with the pangolins are the Africans, right? To get to the top of the chain, in the trafficking chain, it's very difficult, okay? So basically, the people who hunt and the poachers are the slaves of this trade. I usually call them the slaves because they get peanuts, like you guys say, for all the work they have to go through, okay? It's not correct, it's not right, but it's a very unfair chain, as you can see, okay? Pangolins right now, per year, they've calculated about 10,000 pangolins are being trafficked. I think it's quite possibly much more right now. So like Edith said, we talked about the elephant, we've talked about the rhino, but right now, pangolins are in trouble. Yes, and sadly, they were giving a day, which is the Pangolin Day. Do you know why they were giving a day? Well, mostly because they were disappearing. So it's not for good news that they got a day. It's actually for bad news because the trafficking and the amount of scales that were being seized in Asia was astonishing. Okay? Next slide. This is a seizure in Singapore, I think, in Asia, let's say. Those are all frozen and dead pangolins that they seized. Just to give you another figure, and I want to ask you this question. There was a seizure of 2 seizures actually, but in total, they were 13 tons. How many pangolins do you think 13 tons more or less is equivalent to? 13 tons is 13,000 kilograms. How many animals do you think died? 13,000 scales, I must say. Scales are not very heavy, right? So can you imagine the quantity of scales that are 13,000 kilos? Anybody? Any guess? 13,000 is equivalent to? No one? About 44,000 animals. So that is, your brain right now cannot comprehend that figure because it is too much. Yes? Uganda, I doubt Uganda has 44,000 pangolins. So they came from many countries, right? It is a lot. Yes? And that was 2 seizures that were stopped and they were found. There's many more that just go and they make it to the black market. Okay? Next slide. So what we do with my NGO, we've been doing for the past years, is rescuing pangolins that are still alive and they can be released back to the wild, okay? These 2, sadly, this one which is on my hand, is a baby pangolin, and he died in my hand, actually. He stopped breathing in my hand. He was too cold, he lost temperature, and he died, okay? But the mother survived. That's the good news. And she was released. This one also died, and you can see the tail. They tried to harm it, probably with some tool hitting it. So it was a bit traumatized, and sadly we couldn't save it. He also died. Okay, so that's the sad news. Next slide. So I believe that, wait, let me stop for this mouthful. I believe that when you love someone or something is because you know about that person or about that thing or about, you know more about that issue, right? Because if you don't know, it's hard to love something, right? So that's why I want to share more about pangolins, what they are and what they do and their behavior, okay? One question that community people, rangers, and many people ask me is, do pangolins have teeth? Does anybody know the response to that? Hello, table, this table. Anybody know if pangolins have teeth? I have my right table is more active, okay. They have teeth because they're mammals, okay. That's one response. Anybody else? Yes?
We have a town,
Yes. Yes. You say they don't have teeth. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So this side is right, actually. They don't have teeth. They do have a very long tongue that's actually as long as their body, and it kind of rolls. It's longer than their body, and then it goes inside the termites and the ant hills, and sticky tongue, and it sticks. The ants and termites stick to it. So they don't have teeth. They're actually mammals because they breastfeed. So when they have a baby, the female has breast and she produces milk, and the baby will drink milk from the mother. That's why they're considered mammals. And they are the only mammals that have scaly scales. There's no other mammal in the world that has the scales. Okay? So that is, now you've learned something new. Pangolins don't have teeth. Okay? They have a sticky tongue. What else can you tell me about pangolins? Next slide, please. Well, here I've told you already. There are 4 species of pangolins in Africa. okay? There are also 4 species of pangolins in Asia, but there are 4 in Africa, and I will focus on those. Those are the ones I know, okay? We have the white-bellied, which is the one on the tree, because they are tree climbers, they love trees, okay? We have the giant ground pangolin. We've seen the giant in some places, Murchison, and we've seen it in Ziwa, okay? We have the black-bellied pangolin. We don't have the black-bellied in Uganda, but I will tell you something about that, but it is in Congo, okay? And we have the ground pangolin. Giant and ground pangolin go on the floor, and they're quite big. The giant pangolin can reach up to 35 kilos or less, so they're big. Black-bellied and white-bellied are in the trees. They like to climb trees. It's from Congo, but about 3 months ago, I think, the Wildlife Authority seized and rescued a black-bellied pangolin with the help of an NGO. And it was released in Uganda. So we don't know what will happen. We hope it survives. Right now, Uganda has, that we know, white-bellied, giant, and ground. You are a blessed country because you have, out of the 4 species, 3, okay? And 1 that's released in the wild. Okay, next. Now, do you know how babies walk or are transported from one place to another? Have you ever seen them? Yes, Winnie? Exactly, yes. Please, a hat for her, Winnie. The mother carries them on the tail. So you know how some mothers carry their babies on the back? The same way. Pangolin mamas carry their babies on the back, okay? And they ride together. This is a baby pangolin. Can you tell me what species it is? It's small, it's not big. Anyone? Anyone from the back? No one? No, it's a white-bellied. Yes, it's a white-bellied. Black actually have the scales are a little bit darker, a bit more copper color, yeah? A little bit darker. But these guys have the scales are lighter and the belly is completely white, okay? This is a baby and the mother, and they were happily released in the wild. Okay, next slide. Do you know what this species is? Ben? Very good. Yes, I thought I heard you. That's a ground pangolin, okay? Slightly smaller than the giant, but yes, it's a beautiful animal. If you see them walk, they actually walk with their paws up like a little dinosaur. They're very cute. They kind of look a bit dinosaur. Okay, next slide. So what can we do to save the pangolins? This time I need your participation. I need your ideas. And I need your help. What can we do? Whoever, you can start.
Animals, when trafficking they shouldn't, because
But the issue I'm saying is that to create awareness about these animals, we try to tell people out there that these animals, they have a right to live, not to just be trafficked and killed, something like that.
Creating awareness is very important because when you know something and when you know about it and when you know the baby's right on the back and they don't have teeth and that they climb trees and they eat ants and termites and they have no poison, that's when you start to know more about the animal and you start to care about it and you start to fall in love and you protect. What you care about, you protect, okay? There's also law enforcement. In Uganda, pangolin possession of a pangolin gives you, Winnie, you can help me on this one, but it can give you up to a life sentence. If you are prosecuted, you could be sentenced from 10 to life so it is a hard sentence, okay? And that has a lot of implications at the community level, okay? Many people don't know about the wildlife law, but it's a very strict one in Uganda. People need to learn about the law. We all know about the law, but communities sometimes don't. And if somebody goes to a community and says, can you give me a pangolin? I've given you $20. Many of them are going to say yes, okay? This is my friend, Tom. He is in a community. He rescued a pangolin. The community handed over a pangolin before it got killed, okay? And they are touching the pangolin. That's all they're doing. They're very curious. They're touching it. And this pangolin was released later. But I love this photo because the kids are watching and the adults are touching it. Because once your fear goes about the animal, when you're not scared of the animal, you actually start to like it, okay? And that's how you will protect it. So raising awareness so people like their animal, these animals, and many others, is very important. Benefits of pangolins. We always talk of benefits, economic benefits. What are some benefits? Why should we conserve these animals? Let's see my participants. Yes. Anyone? You guys are a hard audience. Sarah. Get a hat.
This one.
They're called gardeners, natural gardeners, because with the paws, the claws, they dig and they help to move the soil, and it's very beneficial for the farmers, for example, and for the soil itself. So that's one benefit.
Yeah, so that's very scientific, very biological, but it is true that they are called the gardeners of the forest and of the savanna because they dig with their claws and they like make the soil toil. They make it move around, and they are actually organic insecticides, right? They eat so many termites and so many ants every day, 15,000, it's been calculated, I don't know if that's true, per day, that it is a very helpful tool for agriculture, right? So killing them, an ecosystem is made of many parts. If you take one part out, there are consequences, right? Consequences we don't even know. So it is a need to be conscious that we need all the parts. And I think this comes in many ways, in society, in ecology, in our life, okay? We need many parts to work together and to be working at the same time, right? So that is very important, and it's very important to get the news out to people. The animal is not poisonous, I've been asked. The animal has no teeth, it will not attack you, okay? If you get caught with a pangolin, you can go to jail, okay? And we need them. Let them be. Pangolins don't have to be released inside national parks, okay? They should live everywhere. Edith was saying we need to learn how to live with animals. And it is true, we need to learn coexistence, it's called. Okay? Our existence is not better than their existence. We need to share existence. They have life, and they were giving life, yes, for a reason. We must not take that for granted. Life should not be taken for granted, okay? I do understand pangolins biologically, and I've told you some tips, but we also need to understand the intrinsic value of life. of living beings. Don't take that for granted, ever. Yes, with no one, okay? Now, when you meet a Spaniard like me, maybe it's the first Spanish person you've met. And maybe you've heard, oh, Spanish people, they were really bad. We did have a bad colonization time. We were not good, yeah? And you can say they're not really nice people. But when you meet somebody that's a Spaniard, they're like, hey, Rebecca's actually quite nice. I hope you think I'm nice. Ben, you know me more. We're friends, Edith. I hope I'm nice. And then you start to think, maybe all Spaniards are nice. You lose fear towards that, okay? You fear what you do not know about, yes? And you kill or you harm what you do not know about, or what you fear. My theory is that through law enforcement, there is a fear that you can get caught or you can get fined, okay, and imprisoned. But I think that helps and that's needed. But I think through loving, through caring for the animals, the forest, the ecosystems, other people, there's more sustainability in that. I don't know if you agree, and it would be a wonderful debate, but conservation needs more compassion, like my friend Edith said. Yes? And you guys, and we all have that within us, all of us. Okay? So this is, next slide, I think I'm done. These are rescues I wanted to show you because not everything is bad news. Okay? This was a beautiful pangolin. Look at the eye. He's a male white-bellied tree pangolin. We weigh their weight, we check they're okay, and then we let them go. Next slide. And the Wildlife Authority is key to this. They do all the releases and they do the rescues. Okay, next slide. This is a phrase I would like you guys to write down or take a photo of it. No one will protect what they don't care about. And no one will care about what they have never experienced. I don't think, and it's hard to see a pangolin when you are, in the wild. But maybe sometime you will experience a pangolin. And if not, you'll experience it through videos or through my stories or through the stories that other people will tell you. That is also an experience, okay? David Attenborough said this, and I agree with him. What you don't care, you cannot protect what you don't care about. That is very important. And how do you care about it? When you learn about it. That's part of the experience. So I hope you fall in love a little bit more with the pangolin. I hope you remember when you see them that the baby rides on the mama, that they don't have teeth, that they're good for the garden, the forests, or gardeners called. And they're beautiful animals and they're very unique. Each one of them, each rescue I have done, they have different personalities and they have different characters. So don't take it for granted. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Wow, now we know about the pangolins and why we should protect them. That you cannot protect what you don't know about. That's a strong one. So now that we know more about pangolins, we'll go out and protect them in the way we write, in the way in our social media pages, and in the way we tell these stories about pangolins. Thank you very much, Rebecca. That was an enlightening talk. Next is our very own Edith Kabetsime. She will take us through why we should end wildlife trade, specifically looking at pangolins. And as she comes here, please, if you have any question, just jot it down. Our presenters, Rebecca and Edith, will be able to take those questions after this. For those of us, our online audience, please keep still. Do write your questions, pop it on Q&A. We will take all those questions at the end of Edith's presentation. And it's also good for our online audience. Please, if you are there, tell us where you are joining us from. Just drop us a line, leave us your email address and the telephone number so that we are able to send you all the presentations after this.
Yeah, so that is my presentation. I'll be taking you through pangolin trade for traditional medicine and how brutal it is and why we should end it. And I think Rebecca and of course yourselves sort of touched some of those issues. Pangolins, why are they reducing? Why are they exploited? I think you have gone through some of those things, so I sort of gloss over them. So next slide. In my introduction, of course, I touched our vision and mission, which underpins the work that we do. And the pangolins is, of course, one of those animals that we focus our work to protect, because there are a host of welfare issues that these animals go through. Next. 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 Before I delve into the pangolin, I thought it was important that I share with you broadly what our wildlife work is about. As an organization, we have what we call two goals. We have our 10-year strategic plan, which runs from 2021 to 2030. So those are 10 years of our animal welfare work. And currently, as an organization, we have set ourselves two goals. One of the goals, which we call Goal 1, is to ensure that farmed animals or the food systems that mistreats our animals is overturned so that farmed animals can live a better life. That is our goal number 1, which focuses on farmed animals. Then our goal number 2, for the next 10 years, will be focusing on wildlife, whereby we want to stop wild animals being cruelly exploited and commodified. That is our goal number 2, and overturn those systems that allow it. That is our goal number 2, which is the wildlife goal. And of course, the pangolin falls under that goal number 2. Next. So if we talk about wildlife trade, of course, it's a huge issue. And you might have read somewhere that wildlife trade, which includes the exploitation of pangolins and all the other host of wild animals, is a multi-billion-dollar business involving cartels, complex ones that are so difficult to overturn. That is the sort of problem we are talking about. And if we are talking about illegal trade, of course, that one is even much more difficult to quantify because of the challenges that are involved in tracking the criminals, knowing how many animals they have exploited or they have extracted from the wild, how many have been consumed. So the trade is so underground that it's so difficult even to establish how much or how many animals are involved. But some estimates put it as half the legal trade. And if the legal trade is that so much, and those were very many years ago, if it was that so much, US dollars 300 billion in 2005. So what does the recent data say? Maybe we need research into that to understand the current scale of wildlife trade and the animals that involved. If we talk of globally, recently there was a report that was released by the UN, and actually that report said that wildlife trade or human activity utilizing wildlife is one of the main causes of degradation of nature, or of extinction of our wild animals. So you can imagine what it means. Next, please. Next slide. So about 2 years ago, as World Animal Protection, we looked at the legal trade. And this data on legal trade actually can be accessed in the CITES database. CITES is the International Convention on Trade in Endangered Species of Plants and Animals. It's a multilateral convention with 188 signatories, and our country, Uganda, is one of the signatories of that convention, which actually is about regulating trade in endangered species of plants and animals. And when we looked at that data, and we also looked at all the data that has been in the media, reports and all that, we are trying to establish which species are most trafficked, especially from Africa. And we came up with those species. The pangolin is number one. As I said in the beginning, the pangolin has become the new elephant. It has become the new rhino. So those species, the pangolin was number one, the rhino number two, the lion. We've been talking about the lion for many, many years. And then now the donkey, the leopard, and then all these other ones, the chimpanzee, abalone, the seahorse, the gorillas, and the vultures. All those species, they are being exploited for traditional Asian medicine, especially in China and Vietnam and Hong Kong. So that's the list. Those are the victims of this trade and exploitation. But the pangolin is number one, and is the reason we are here today. Next, please. Just to recap that they are the most traded species. And of course it's illegal, because in 2016, at the Conference of Parties for International Trade in Endangered Species of Plants and Animals, that is CITES conference, finally, the world came together and they agreed to uplist the pangolin from CITES Appendix 1 to CITES Appendix number 2. I mean, from 2 to 1. When species are put on that appendix of CITES, which is a body mechanism that regulates trade in endangered species, it means no country is allowed to trade in those species. So all the 8 species, the 4 in Asia and the 4 in Africa, they were all uplisted to appendix number 1 of CITES, meaning that it's illegal internationally to trade in these species. By the way, before we go there, how many of us belong to the Olugave clan here? If you belong to the Olugave clan, put up your hand. The pangolin. Because I know here in Africa, almost each and every one of us have a totem. Eh? We belong to some clan and we belong to some species. So we have to. You're a pangolin? Wedila pangolin? Bajaja wedila pangolin. So if you have a relative connected to a pangolin, put up your hand. 2, 3, 4. So you can see we have already people in this room who are connected to the pangolin. So even when there is that international law and national laws that protect the pangolin, culturally, we have a responsibility to do what? Protect the pangolin. Because once it's gone, you can no longer say Nyedila Lugave. You can't say it. Me, I'm Mwenchima. I can no longer claim that I'm Mwenchima once the monkeys are gone. So that's the whole reason that we have all those systems that protect these animals, the legal but also the traditional systems. So basically in Uganda, if you wanted, as the Lugave clan, you could start a crusade, protect this beautiful animal, because it's you. So next. Just to give you the scale of the trade, I know Rebecca touched this one, but let's also look at other numbers and really try to comprehend what the problem we are dealing with. There are countries which are the main hubs when it comes to trade, illegal trade in this species. Uganda, we are there. Uganda, Kenya, my friends, you are there. You are one of the hubs. Because of the harbors and all that, the main shipments go through some of those ports. We have Nigeria. Nigeria is the epicenter of illegal trade in the pangolin and other trafficked animals. And then, it's basically Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria. Those are the main. And then, of course, you'll get, there's of course Cameroon and others, but those are the main. So you can see how many pangolins have been traded between 2017 and 2019. Imagine 77 tons of pangolin scales in one seizure. And that's around 200 and something pangolins killed. Other sources of information indicate that over 1 million pangolins have been killed since actually in 13 years, just like in 10 years, 1 million pangolins killed. That means 100 pangolins are killed 100,000 pangolins are killed every year in order for you to get that number. And then if you look at the countries involved, it's not Kenya, it's not Uganda, it's not Nigeria, those are the epicenters. But we are talking of around 67 countries and territories in all the 6 continents involved in this trade, meaning it's a very lucrative trade that is leading to extinction. And just back home here, as recent as 2019, Uganda Wildlife Authority impounded a combination of animal parts being trafficked, ivory mixed with the rhino horn and mixed with the pangolin and timber. So actually all of those things go together. Sometimes you'll find they are trafficking timber, but at the same time, inside the timber, they are also having pangolin scales. So you can imagine those were 423 kilograms of pangolin. That is close to half a ton of pangolin scales that were impounded in Uganda in 2019. And of course, the culprits, I believe, were prosecuted. Maybe Rebecca has more of that information. But also we know one of the challenges we have, especially in Africa, is governance, corruption, delayed justice. So all of those things continue to perpetuate the practice. Next, please. We have talked about all that these pangolins are used for various things. You can imagine people believing if you eat a pangolin, your manhood will improve, your performance will improve, you'll be a better lactating mother, you'll have a nice skin. All those myths around pangolin use as in traditional medicine. You can imagine in other countries where pangolins, who don't use pangolins, don't they? Are men not men? Are women not breastfeeding their children? And are they suffering from strange skin diseases? Of course, my guess is as good as yours. Unfortunately, all of these claims don't have any scientific evidence that actually they cure, because I understand ivory, pangolin scales. What is the composition? Who knows the composition of pangolin scales? Yes, what is in pangolin scales? Yes, keratin. Pangolin scales is just keratin. I'm not giving you a second cap. Maybe I'll give you a book. Give her a book. And you'll also get a book. If you participate, you get presents. Yeah, so it's simply keratin. So we should be telling these consumers that if you really feel you want to be a better lactating mother, eat your nails and you'll have the milk in your breasts. Simple. Anyway, so next slide, please. So what are we talking about? As I said, yes, we have talked about conservation. I'm going to give a book to someone. Can you give that gentleman a book? Your neighbor. I want to give him a book. Can you take it to him? Take him a book. In the black jersey. No, give him a book. Yes. Yeah, give him a book. So, if we are talking about welfare issues, the whole chain, right from the wild to the point where these animals are consumed, the whole chain is just suffering. It's horrendous. In the wild, you must have seen from the picture shared by Rebecca, they are beaten to death using clubs. They are dug out of their burrows. If they have babies and the babies survive and they have not been also taken out, the babies will not survive without the mothers because the mothers carry their babies. The babies really depend so much on the mothers. And once the mother is taken away, certainly the babies will hardly survive without that support because they depend on milk from the mothers, so you can imagine. And then boiled alive. You must have seen in the clip which we shared. That clip was taken in Asia. In 2017, 2018, we did an investigation in Asia. We followed a group of hunters right from their homes to the wild where they do those things, and we followed the whole chain. That's how that clip was obtained. And it was horrendous. And we have used that clip to raise awareness. So they are boiled alive to remove the scales, as you must have seen in the clip. And the process of digging, not only does it destroy their burrows and all that, of course it's also destroying the environment, causing degradation. So the damage is beyond the animal itself. So it's sort of a cycle of terror when you think about what these beautiful animals go through. When you think about it, you're captured, you're removed from your home, the babies are left behind, you're beaten to death, you're skinned alive, or even you're boiled alive. Next. And as I had mentioned, that these species are protected at international level. They are protected at the national level. Some communities are doing their best to protect, like in northern Uganda, the groups of people who are trying to help. But because of the system is broken down, enforcement is so weak, corruption that riddles our systems, then things are not going the right way, despite even that high-level protection of these species at CITES level by our governments. So basically, a lot is needed to protect these animals. Next. And next, sorry, that is actually my last slide, which is the gist of the matter and what we are really calling upon the different stakeholders, that first of all, countries such as Uganda, unfortunately, in this event, we didn't really intend to have the policymakers, the decision makers, but because the media, your mouthpiece, we believe this information is going to reach all corners of this country, all corners of the continent, especially through our colleagues who are on Twitter and Instagram and those who are online following us. That with countries like Uganda, like Kenya, like Nigeria, which I mentioned as the epicenters and the main traffic routes, we need better enforcement. We need to root out corruption. We need to speed up justice so that these cases that we hear, so many pangolins have been intercepted, so many scales have been intercepted, we want to see justice. We are happy that in this country we have some committed judges who have magistrates who have really demonstrated that actually wild animals can receive justice. Would like that to continue so that these animals, beautiful animals, are protected. At the business level, especially corporates, our call is that we need to invest in more humane alternatives, which do not involve the use of pangolins and other wildlife for medicine. We can go herbal, we can go synthetic. In fact, what we have been doing as World Animal Protection, we have this similar initiative against use of wildlife in traditional medicine in China. And what we are doing in China, we have come up with a website. We've done research to identify sort of plant alternatives that could be used as substitutes to treat certain, I don't know what it's treatment, but to be used on certain conditions, which people believe that pangolins are remedies. So that website is available. We have listed all the alternative plants that actually can be used to substitute. For instance, if you have boils or you want to lactate better as a mother, there are plant alternatives that can be used. And we have created that website. We have also in China mobilized the traditional medicine practitioners, traditional doctors, and we have formed what we call traditional practitioners platform, whereby they come together and they are the ones that are at the forefront of ending the use of wild animals in traditional medicine, especially the pangolin. Of course, there have been some successes. If 2020, China removed the pangolin from what they call the pharmacopoeia. Pharmacopoeia is a book or it's a record where they list all the medicines that can be prescribed. So China removed the pangolin scales and other derivatives from the list of their traditional medicine pharmacopoeia, what you would call an encyclopedia of their traditional medicine. So they removed it. But we are still saying, yes, that was a good step in the right direction, but they should also remove it as food. They should remove it as meat. It should be illegal to eat pangolin meat whether in China or Vietnam or in Uganda, anywhere, it should be removed. In Gabon, a few years ago, the Minister for Environment, I think, outlawed eating game meat. So if all countries in this continent would do the same, that would go a long way in terms of protecting the pangolin, especially in communities in Africa where it's used as meat. And then, of course, we need to bring together our combined efforts. That's why we have you here, the media, the fourth estate, so that we work together and with the other stakeholders to preach the gospel. And then at the community level, we have colleagues like Rebecca, much as she's involved in rescues, but she really has a good knowledge of what happens at the community. And I think there's a lot we can do at the community level to think about alternatives. Those communities that are dependent on extracting the pangolins, like in Teso, in Bukedea, in eastern Uganda, in the Albertine Rift, in Kagadi, and wherever, where there have been poor people arrested just because they have killed a pangolin, where they are just going to get $22. You can imagine, and then you are imprisoned for life. Imprisoned for life, or you are fined is it 2 billion or 20 billion? There's also the fine. 2 billion Uganda shillings, or you are imprisoned for life just because you are caught with the pangolin. We can check the facts, but I know the amount of money that you can be potentially fined is unimaginable. So we really need to support communities at the community level. And I'm happy that there's a frontline community, one of those in northern Uganda, which is trying to do that. Then, of course, there is an increase in terms of African governments endorsing traditional Asian medicine, especially Chinese medicine. And many countries have endorsed those policies, to an extent that even WHO, World Health Organization, has endorsed traditional Chinese medicine. And I think a blanket endorsement is wrong. Yes, we don't say traditional Chinese medicine is bad or traditional African medicine is bad. No, it's an alternative, it's alternative treatment. But it should not be based on endangered species of plants and animals. And we are saying when countries are entering into these MOUs and trade agreements, especially with China and other really countries that are trying to come to Africa to prospect, to look for business, we need to be careful the kind of MOUs we are signing, the kind of imports that are coming into the country, but also the kind of industries that are being set up. A few years ago, there was an industry that was set up in Mukono Seta. It was claimed to be for processing donkey meat, donkey meat, the donkey. But that was just a cover. First of all, Uganda does not have many donkeys. So you can imagine where were we going to get all the donkeys that really we needed even an industry. It was just a cover for trafficking donkey skin. Because donkey skin is also used in Asia, especially China, for traditional Chinese medicine. They believe it's good for skin when you drink it and you do what, all sorts of all those myths. Those that surround the pangolin, they surround the lion, they surround the elephant, they surround the rhino. So basically, it's like all animals treat the same diseases, which I believe is not correct, not right. So, but we are happy that NEMA closed that industry. I think it was in Seto Mukono. They closed it down, but it was, of course, over the fact that it was not treating, they were not treating their refuse well. But also at the same time, other countries like Kenya and our other neighbors, Tanzania, they were also raising an alarm that there is increased trafficking of donkey skin. So when we saw a factory in our neighborhood, we also said, there must be something fishy. And it's good that it was closed. So just like that factory was closed, we'd like to see government do more to protect the pangolin, but also to reject some of those trade agreements that could, at the end of the day, be cover for trafficking our wildlife. I would like to end here. I think the last slide is a thank you. And thank you for not making you sleep. I saw some of you were believing in me that what I was saying was correct. Thank you so much. And I would like to end here.
Edith, thank you very much. So we give her a better hand. I think she's done a great job, amazing job. Thank you. She has taught us so much about the pangolin. But I like the last slide, Edith, is what can we do? What can you do? What can I do? How can I contribute? I think that's the biggest question. How can I myself contribute? How can you contribute? How can Kibe there contribute to save the pangolin? And that is the question that we're asking you as World Animal Protection. What contribution can you make? So can we make some commitments today to protect the pangolin specifically as we celebrate the Pangolin's Day tomorrow? What contribution can you make? You are looking you want to contribute. Tell us what you want to do.
Thank you. Being from the media, I think I can always continue writing stories about the pangolin, the benefits, then, in a way of sensitizing the masses that please, pangolins have a life. they deserve to live also. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you already have a sweater. You already have a kofia. Okay, you'll get a notebook in addition. Yeah, thank you. So for all of us, yes, we have a hand there. Tell us how you want to contribute.
Thank you so much. The fact that we belong to them, some of us are related with them. Maybe now, for me, what I am going to do is to localize this information. Because it's like the locals are not used of, maybe they are not aware. And when we break down this information to the locals, and especially maybe to the most targeted area where these pangolins are, it will help. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Asante. Yes, localize the message. And I know Uganda has the highest number of local radio stations, at least in East Africa. A lot of local radio stations that we envy you in Kenya. And those are the channels that you can use to really take the message out. We have another contribution. Let's make commitments. Yes, keep it there. You can pass the mic to...
I would like to highlight the trauma they go through. Being cooked alive made me feel like crying a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Being cooked alive. That must be very painful for the pangolins. Another commitment?
Okay, personally, I'll try to sweet talk my editor to have these stories out, because as journalists, our focus is usually politics, crime, corruption. So when it comes to wildlife, most especially pangolin, probably we're used to maybe animals like lions and elephants, the giraffes. So when it comes to pangolin, it's not all that known. So you need to do a lot of bargaining, lobbying, to have these stories out. That's what I will do. Thank you.
Excellent. You need to speak to the editor. I think all of us have that trouble, yeah? Go and tell the editor that there is a new angle. They can even dedicate a day. I see in the Standard newspaper in Kenya, there is a day on Thursday they dedicate to conservation stories. I've not scanned papers here, but I believe you have a point. Talk to the editor. Tell them we can do stories away from politics, corruption, the parties, the yellow parties today, what I'm wearing today, your government color. Yeah? You can, at least there is the human interest stories, and now the animal interest stories that we have to tell and get the attention of the audience they look into. Yes, another commitment. Mina?
And then the final, is it life sentence? And then the final 20 billion shillings. That was news to me. I wish everyone gets to know that.
Okay, great. So we have a couple of commitments here, and I hope we have recorded all the commitments. So let's... She was off the mic. Oh, okay. That you need to repeat. I thought they were telling us to wind up. We still have time. Okay, great.
No, I said what has interested me today, what has interested me, and what I'll sensitize the public more about are the penalties and then the fine. I didn't know that it would attract a life sentence and then the 20 billion fine. I feel like the public needs to know about this. Yeah.
Yes. They need to be scared.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, you can look up for that law. Make sure you get the figures right, but it's around, I think, 20 billion or 2 billion. It's 20. Okay. Thank you.
That's a whole lot of money. Yeah, please.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Actually, that is a deterrent, really. When you think about it, if I'm going to prison for over 10 years, I don't want to get into trouble. So if we can just sensitize people about this, I'm sure we'll see a reduction in wildlife crime. Let's take more commitments, maybe 2 more, and we are putting it on camera. So next year we'll come and see what we have done, yeah? Yeah, in a nice way, no? But it's a commitment that we are making, that we wanna protect the pangolins specifically. Let's have 2 more commitments on the floor. Edith? And those who are online, please also type your commitment. Please do type your commitment. We'll be able to read a few here. Please use the mic.
Okay, my name is Katamba Robert, and the Pangolin is my clan. So I'm committing to continue creating awareness to the public since I'm a media personnel. That is it.
Yeah, thank you. So we have a commitment from the Pangolin tribe, Pangolin clan, to protect and create awareness about the pangolin. Thank you, and he gets himself a notebook. So thank you, yeah. Another commitment, one final commitment, so that we go to Q&A. One final commitment. But we are all committed. I can read your hearts. We are all committed to protect the pangolins, right? So thank you so much for those commitments that we have made. We will track a few just to see. Of course, we have the media tracker, section. We will be able to see the stories that you are. But even you being here, really, and just listening to the conversations today is a clear indicator that you are committed to protect the pangolin specifically. But above all, you are also committed to working with us, World Animal Protection, to take this conversation further, to talk about wildlife, to talk about animals, because animals are sentient beings. When we talk about life, it's about animals being sentient. They have feelings. They get annoyed. That's why sometimes they bite you. Yeah? They are happy. That's why they carry their babies on the back. You can see, I can see that pangolin was actually very happy, reading from the eyes. So they have just feelings just like us. And they're sentient beings, so we need to protect them. Asante. Now let's do the Q&A. Questions. Our experts, Edith and Rebecca, are here to take your questions. So please, if you have any question, you'll ask. Yes, Laban, thank you to help us the mic around. And for our online audience, Ian, if you have any question, you can prepare so you come and take us through. So we are taking questions from the floor. First, we'll take 3 questions from the floor. Then we'll pan to the online audience. We'll take another 3 questions, and then our experts will answer those. First, we'll have 2 sessions. We'll have the first one, 3 from the floor, 3 online. Then there'll be answers. Then we take the final questions, 3 from online, 3 from the ground, and then we call it a day. So yes, we have...
Tiawa Abubeka. We have a number of breeding programs for threatened animals. Do we have such programs for pangolins? And in case we don't, why not? That's my first question. And then pangolins tend to be central to a number of cultures in Africa. So I'm wondering, what are there cultural institutions, for example, that are engaged in the preservation or conservation of these animals that maybe you are working with? Thank you.
One of the issues mentioned is habitat loss. And some time back, there was talk about some piece of land being preserved for their regeneration near Magician Falls National Park. How far has that gone?
For that, now let's take questions from our online audience. Okay, as we do that, then I'll request Edith to lead us with answers. Then we have Rebecca. Okay. Who wants to go first? Since Rebecca is ready, okay.
Here? Here's good? Oh, in front, okay. Sorry. I'm not used to all this media. Okay, my notes are there, but I think I remember. So books, actually there are some children books, but they're in English. So I think that would be an excellent idea to create a book in different languages that can reach the local people here. Very happy to contribute to that. I love books and I love children books. And the youths are, I mean, you can also do youth books. So very good idea. And there is a huge lack of resources about pangolins. So, you know, I think there's an opportunity for not just books for children, but for, you know, other types of audience. Cultural institutions that I know of involved with pangolins, I don't know, actually. I haven't heard. But I do think it's also a good idea. You need a holistic approach to every problem, and actually, but conservation doesn't need just a conservation approach. It does need a holistic approach. So yes, it would be a good idea to involve the cultural institutions. I believe the Lugave clan does a lot also, but there is more to do. So yeah, another opportunity. As for the land restoration that was habitat loss in Murchison, I don't know what is the status of that. But our NGO, Biodiversity Alliance, also knows about habitat loss is a huge factor in the species extinction. So we also have a big reforestation program that's underway because we know that, yeah, habitat loss is one of the key factors to fight it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. I would request you don't go too far because there'll be more questions coming your way. So next we have Edith who will take us through the other questions. Especially from our, yes, especially from wild animal protection.
Yeah, from wild animal protection. Yeah, so from wild animal protection perspective, in relation to the question about, of course, the reading programs, I entirely agree with you that that's a great idea. That actually in the past, when we were still dealing a lot with school children, we used to produce some of those materials. And I believe it's something we can do. But you have also seen some of the small leaflets that we are doing. I think we can improve them more to make them even more child-friendly, because I don't believe that one is really child-friendly, but I think we can make them even more child-friendly. And if we have such small leaflets, that is, for instance, purely talking about the pangolin, just giving key facts, a small story of how Mother Pangolin cares for her baby and all that, how she reaches out with her long tongue in an interesting way. I believe it can enhance learning. I agree. So Lucy, I think it's something we should take on as we develop more of these materials. Thank you for that suggestion. Then habitat loss, yes, it is. In fact, I tried to reach out to one of the key people who are involved in that project, but I wasn't successful. But we have contacts of Robert, and we can actually put you in touch with Robert to learn more about that initiative around Murchison Falls National Park. And I'm sure you can really write an interesting story about such a frontline community that is working hard to protect the pangolin. Cultural institutions, of course, those are very, very, very key. As I said, each of us has a clan of sorts, and we associate with a given animal, and it's a good lever. Let actually inform you that I sit on the Uganda Biodiversity Trust Fund, which is a biodiversity conservation fund, financing fund. And today, if it wasn't for this event, I would be at the Buganda Kingdom headquarters. The fund is signing an MOU with the Buganda Kingdom. And the idea is to work with the Buganda Kingdom to protect biodiversity through the totem system, which I think is a very, very, very creative initiative. If I wasn't here, I would be there. So I apologized. I know it's happening, but in my absentia. So those are some of the good initiatives. It's not an initiative of World Animal Protection, but it's a contribution that I make as a professional in that field. And of course, when I'm serving on that fund, I'm using World Animal Protection's time to make a contribution to the Uganda Biodiversity Trust Fund. So some of those ideas, they may not be implemented directly by World Animal Protection, but we take them elsewhere where we serve. So Buganda Kingdom is signing that MOU today, Friday, with the Uganda Biodiversity Fund to protect biodiversity through the clan and totem system. So please, those of you who are interested in reporting on conservation, on animal welfare, the role of cultural institutions in protecting our wildlife, please reach out to the Uganda Biodiversity Fund. And you can also reach out directly to me, and I give you more information, and I put you in touch with the staff at the Biodiversity Fund to know how that arrangement will be working. And of course, the pangolin, you said you're going to promote the pangolin. That is going to be one of the most interesting levers. Now that you have the information, and I have told you, I've signed an agreement today, so please, the sky shouldn't even be the limit. Yeah, that's it from me.
Thank you, Edith. A lot's happening around the pangolins and wildlife protection. So there are a few questions online. So we'll take those ones. And then, is there any other question from the floor? Okay, we'll take that after this. Yes, Ian.
Thank you, Lucy. So we have 3 questions from the online participants. The first one is from an anonymous attendee. The question is, on the awareness part, online and media is one way. Are you guys planning to spread the awareness to the rural communities who don't have access to the media? That is the first one. The next one is from Kevin. Kevin is asking, what will happen without pangolins totally? And the third one is from James. What is the outlook of pangolin conservation and what progress has been made in recent years? The third one is, what is the outlook for pangolin conservation and what progress has been made in recent years?
Those are weighty ones. Thank you. So I'll take the first one as Edith and Rebecca. I was thinking in Uganda. So as I'll take the first question, Edith and Rebecca will take the second and third, and perhaps also make a contribution. Spreading awareness is something that World Animal Protection itself takes very seriously, and we have a couple of methodologies that we use. Working with media is one most effective way, and I have to appreciate the media in Uganda. You have really supported us since we started here like 4, 5 years ago. That time we just used to meet like 2 people, then there was no story, then 3, then 4, and now we are filling a room. Please give yourself a clap. Yeah, you have really walked with us through this journey. So we continue to take you as one of our greatest partners in spreading awareness about not just wildlife, but animal welfare. I remember when he came here, telling the story of animal welfare was very, very hard. And not just here, even in Kenya, people would ask, have you finished with the people so that you can start talking about pangolins? Do you know people are dying and you people are talking about lions? So there was that discussion. But over time, a span of 4 years now, we are seeing stories, even on the front page, talking about wildlife, talking about farm animals, talking about pigs, talking about broiler chickens, to touch on our other campaigns, even previously talking about dogs. So we have come on a long journey, and media is one of them. But the question is on how are we going to penetrate rural communities? How are we going to speak to the people who are in the villages, who perhaps have no access to digital media? Many of them don't. Many of them don't have access to TV, or even many of them cannot read the English that we have written there. And I like that suggestion that we actually need to simplify our materials. And one of the commitments that we have made this year is to really look at how we are producing our info materials like those. I've not seen anyone read that poster there. Have anyone seen that poster? Have you read it? Yeah. Have you read it? Yeah. Yes, because here we are a room of elites, but I know out there is still a challenge. So one of the things is we are going to simplify those materials. Yes, work with comic books, or give something that can be read by our children, even in primary school. So that's one way. Another way that we began last year is working with art and culture. Last year, during World Wildlife Day, we came here at the Cultural Center. We worked with artists, poets, very good poets, by the way. You guys are full of great talent in arts and culture. We worked with them to do songs, to do poems. We came and had a very good day at the Cultural Center. I remember, I forget the name of the Cultural Center. Laban? Sorry? Uganda Cultural Center, yeah? At the Uganda Museum. Yes, we had a very, very good cultural extravaganza there. And by so doing, we believe that we are spreading the message. We have gone down and seen what can simplify the message about pangolins. Art and culture is one way. Poems, songs, dance, spoken word is what we experience there. Even this year, we're going to scale that up. Maybe we need to start thinking of how we can get to the districts, to the rural communities, and even hold those cultural extravaganzas at the, at the community level. And I like how Uganda is organized in terms of clans that celebrate or associate themselves with an animal. Maybe we should start looking out for those clans and organize events at those cultural levels, and start the discussion from there. But yes, it's a good thing. We are looking at how we can protect animals from the villages, because that's where things happen. I'm sure you'll not find pangolins in Kampala. Or do we have pangolins in Kampala? We have them here? In our homes? Sorry? Yeah, they are brought. But they live near. Okay. So yes, so we need to start that conversation, and we have to look at how we bring everyone on board. The other aspect of the work, as I finish, is working on the policies, and we love that Uganda has already set sentences. They already have laws on animal protection. It's just then how we cascade that to everyone else, so people are aware and people are adhering. So yes, we are committed to that. Rebecca, you take the second question. Sure.
Hi. So what will happen without pangolins? Actually, we don't know. But I don't think it will be good news, because pangolins are a key species in the ecosystems because of their function. Because like somebody said, they are the gardeners of the forest and the savanna, and they control a lot of the population of the termites and ants. So I don't think it will be good news if we lose them. I prefer to think we won't. I think we are, not everything is doom and gloom. So I hope that we are on the path to reducing that, the death of pangolins. There was a third question about progress in pangolin conservation. I'm an optimist person, so I think there has been progress. Before, and you will remember, each of you probably didn't know what a pangolin was. not many years ago. I think now we are more aware of what pangolins are. The wildlife law in Uganda, for example, has improved in their benefit. International laws have improved. I think Edith mentioned a lot of the progress in China, which is a huge consumer. And with COVID, sadly, a lot of pangolins were well known to the world. So I want to believe that there has been progress. We have rescued, since 2018, 120 pangolins, and they were all released successfully, alive and well. So and since then, the rescues have decreased. So I think that also shows, it is an indicator that the law is working and people are more conscious. Yes. But I do believe, and just to add to what Lucy was saying, communities need to know and we need to reach to them. So this is why people like Tom, who you saw in the photo, we work with local grassroots organizations so they can tell their communities what is the wildlife law, what are the fines. You can go to jail for life if they see you with this animal or other animals. Radios. Many people don't have internet, but a lot of people have radios and they listen to them. So that is a great tool for reaching out to those people who don't have social media. Yes, I think it's Edith's turn. Thank you. Closing remarks.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Lucy. I think you answered the awareness question very well. And of course, the fact that we are here with this huge number of journalists, we believe that we are also indirectly or directly also reaching the community, because nothing beats the fourth estate. So what will happen when the pangolins are finally gone? You may say maybe nothing will happen. But I think if we are talking about the responsibility we have, especially if in this room there are people who believe in the story of creation, if in this room there are people who believe in the story of creation, then of course that will be a loss, and we'll have failed in our responsibility as human beings to take care of the world and its creatures, that a responsibility we are given by God. So for those who believe in that story, I think for me that is a very huge spiritual loss. So there is a loss at the spiritual level that will have failed in our responsibility. At the cultural level, it will be a loss from a cultural values perspective. As we said, there are all these clans, the clan system in Africa, in Buganda especially here, people who believe they belong to the Lugave clan. So what will you say? What will you tell your children? The Lost Clans of Buganda. I think we'll have a book called The Lost Clans of Buganda. I think that's what will be. Like we have the lost counties of Buganda, so we'll have the lost clans of Buganda. And to me, I think that's a very huge loss. When you lose your identity, there's nothing as bad to lose as losing your identity. So that's a loss. But of course, there's also the ecological service, ecosystem services, which my colleague Rebecca talked about. These creatures play a big role in it as part of the general ecosystem. That means we'll have to use a lot of pesticides to deal with termites, deal with harmful ants and all that. No wonder our soils are failing to produce the food we need, just because we are overusing a lot of chemicals to deal with termites. I have a hobby of, they call it what? I do farming, but it's just a hobby. But every time I put down these long sticks you use to support your matoke. Every time I put it down, the next day, I find termites have eaten it up all. So maybe if there was a pangolin in the neighborhood, it would have dealt with them. So it's like every now and again, I have to go to the guys who are selling the eucalyptus poles to buy fresh poles. So you can imagine that's a loss which you may not attribute to the pangolin, but it's when you understand the ecology and what happens, then you appreciate why we need to protect all these animals. You can imagine, usually I ask people, what will happen if all bees were gone? Imagine if all bees were gone. So the same question you ask, what will happen if pangolins are gone? The same answer I would give, what would happen if all bees were gone? Of course, if all bees were gone, we'll have no insects to pollinate our crops. So we'll suffer from hunger and the rest. So same thing applies to the pangolin. Initiatives, and maybe even before I move, animals in their own right, they have a right to live. So even if they were not useful to us, even if they were not useful to us, they have, in their own right, they have a right to live. So they would be lost as themselves, as individuals, as sentient beings. So that, of course, would be very, very, very bad. Initiatives, what is the outlook of pangolins, and what initiatives or progress has been made? As I mentioned in my presentation, from the legal perspective at the global level, of course, pangolins are protected legally at that high level. At national level, many countries actually they'll really be on your back if you're caught with a pangolin. And that's why Uganda recently revised the law and made the sentences more stringent. That if you're caught with a pangolin or any other protected animal, you'll be in hot soup. And there have been some examples where people have actually been sentenced to life in prison just because you found with the claws of a lion or a few kilos of pangolin. So that is how serious it is. Again, as I said, at other levels, at the community level, we mentioned some of those really committed frontline communities who have said would like to protect the habitats for these pangolins, just like the initiative we mentioned around Machon Falls, where Robert and others are involved in protecting the pangolin. We also have now the people in prosecution. We have one of the renowned private prosecutors in this country who has been behind the crusade of really securing justice for wildlife. That's Vincent. He's one of the global figures that is behind the crusade to protect Uganda's wildlife, including the pangolin. And I think the pangolin has been the center of his work. So those are really many, many initiatives. At World Animal Protection, as I mentioned, in 2019, we came up with a groundbreaking report about the pangolin, how they're extracted, how they are mistreated, how they are trafficked. And we used that report to launch that campaign, not only in Africa, but also in Asia, in China especially, where I've said we are now working with traditional medicine practitioners. And of course, university researchers and other stakeholders to come up with initiatives of really how do we shift consumer behaviors, consumer demand, and then also get these traditional medicine practitioners shift away from prescribing traditional medicine that contains the pangolin and other wildlife derivatives to something else, to plant alternatives. So that initiative is ongoing, and we believe it's making, it's making a humble contribution to this war against commodification of our wildlife, including pangolins for traditional medicine. That is all I can say. And of course, our president, I believe, is also behind us in this crusade on World Wildlife Day, which is going to fall on the 3rd of March, which is a few days from now. I hear he's going to be the chief guest in eastern Uganda, where the World Wildlife Day is going to be celebrated. And I hope he will throw his weight behind all these initiatives so that we really secure that sort of high-level political support to ensure that we protect our wildlife.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Edith, and I believe that is also your closing remarks. Because we are short of time, our next thing will be vote of thanks delivered by Evans Kipkorir. And just to say, after this, should you want any interview with Edith or Rebecca, they'll be available here for the interview. I want to make a small request to the people who made commitment here. We want to record just a small, short video of you making that commitment. This is for our internal communication purposes. We'll make that, especially my friend here from the Pangolin clan. We'll make that on video, so we'll request of your time. After this, we do record the commitments on video so that we can use it for our internal communication and also be able to track that. We want to show some results after this. At this juncture, let's have a vote of thanks from our friend Evans. And Evans, as you do the vote of thanks, you'll also dismiss our online audience. Then we will have a photo of the people who are in here. Thank you.
Hello. At the end of it, this is the best part to be jovial, right? Would like to appreciate each and every one of you who created time and saw it fit to be here. And we hope that the discussions that we've had here, the sensitization that has been done, will translate into you guys doing more stories and also being able to be volunteers and advocates of pangolin protection. For those who joined us online, we really appreciate you. And at this time, would really like to, if it is possible for your end, please turn on your video so that we can take a screenshot for those who are online. Any progress, Ian? Well, yeah, the screenshot has been taken. We really appreciate you. Also, I think there is a key take-home message that we've gotten from the two presenters. One is you can't protect what you don't love, right? So that calls upon us to do more stories on pangolins as a way of raising awareness to make people start loving animals. So it's a challenge to all of us. Please do your bit and join our movement in advocating for animal welfare. Right? Now, what we are going to do next after this, the session has been completed. We are going to take a group photo outside there. So immediately we are done, let's go and take a group photo. Then for those who would like to do media interviews with either Edith or Rebecca, those are our presenters, please either reach out to me or Laban, who invited you here, so that we can organize for that interview. Then after the photo session is when we'll do the commitment recording just outside there also. Thank you very much. Now, as we conclude, let's appreciate the speaker, Rebecca. 3 hand claps. Edith Kavesime, who is our wildlife campaigns manager. Our moderator, Lucy. And appreciate yourself. Thank you very much.
At World Animal Protection, we know that every animal counts. We're a global animal welfare organisation and have been campaigning for over 50 years to end animal cruelty. We work to achieve global change. Every day, billions of animals are experiencing unbearable cruelty. We tackle the root causes of their suffering so that we can make the biggest difference to their lives. We give a voice to the voiceless. Our world is changing fast. As people face urgent issues like the climate emergency and depleting natural resources, we give animals a voice and ensure their needs are met because we all call our planet home. Right now, we're prioritising issues where change can transform the lives of the greatest number of animals, overhauling the global food system. And ending the cruel exploitation of our planet's wildlife. We know that the fate of animals' lives rests in our hands. Our passionate teams inspire and mobilise individuals and organisations to create change. We support local and global movements that are fighting for a better future for animals. Our knowledge and expertise give us a powerful voice at the most influential levels of government and business, where we establish animal welfare as a global priority and a local concern. Though the challenge is great, our determination is greater.